guys.
Hey
Welcome to the
guys.
Relishing Dead. Sorry about the little technical difficulties there. I'm
Hopefully,
Barbara.
I'm Carol.
And I'm Eliza, trying to navigate phone calls between our mommy and puppy. Sorry
Right.
about the technical difficulties, but welcome to our page.
Yes, and Dawn is currently at work, but we have a little video from her, and hopefully she can jump on later.
Elisa, do you have that video? Because I do
We
not.
do.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to stop in and say hi and thank you for supporting us and watching. And thank you to the camp for allowing us to stream on their page. I just wanted to give a little insight on People Are a Resource. I know the girls are going to be discussing that tonight, but I just wanted to kind of give a little tidbit that I took away. So, the dialogue and writing in this episode was fantastic. Like, it reminded me of season 2, my favorite season of The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead vibe it gave. It wasn't a lot of action, but the writing was just phenomenal. So, kind of an example is, I think it was Luther, and correct me if I'm wrong, his name, because I'm horrible at names. When Negan killed him, you cared about that character. You didn't want that to happen. And that's because the writing was so impactful. It reminded me of Nebraska with Tony and Dave. Everybody still talks about those characters were on there for what, 20 minutes? But we cared about them, kind of like Randall in season 2. So I'll let you all think about that and give your opinion. And hopefully I can jump on for a few minutes. Y'all have a great night. Bye-bye.
She's so beautiful.
Yeah, it was so great having her. I know she had to work late, so we prodded her. She's like, I look so swollen and so tired. I'm like, you're beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was upset they killed Luther too, because you started liking a character and it's just gone. I don't
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
It
And we're
was,
going to find that that's going to happen.
Oh, I know.
You know,
It was just too soon.
it's too soon.
Too soon. It was too soon.
That's funny.
so what did you guys think about this episode?
Barb, you want to go first?
Yeah, the writing, like Dawn was saying, was really good. She had some good insights on it. I was wondering about Maggie and her thoughts. Like there was a part where she wanted to burn that dinosaur. Like I would love to know what's going through her mind. The whole episode though was pretty good. I need to rewatch it a few more times to, get that Walking Dead feel. I'm losing that a little bit in this, but with Maggie and Negan and the way they are together, it's chemistry. And the more you guys talk about them getting together scares me, but I see the chemistry. I know, but I'm trying. I'm trying real hard. So you guys go. Your turn.
I enjoyed it. I like that Negan is trying to seek redemption by actions, and I think that the writing again is holding up really well. I think for those people like Barb who are having a hard time grabbing onto the show, I think that, and I had told Barb this earlier, I think that this show is set up perfectly for cameos. And once those cameos start appearing and you start seeing those older characters, I think that it's really going to hit home that this is not just a whole different entity, that it's a continuation of a story. Excuse me.
Yep.
And I think that it's going to be fantastic.
I hope so. More flashbacks.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be wonderful. So.
And I think, for me, so far, the series, the baseline feels like a story of redemption, a redemption for Negan. I mean, kind of jumping forward into part of the episode when he's sitting there telling the tribes people in third person about this guy 12 or 15 years ago.
Right.
But then we still see the bad Negan surfacing at different points.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he kills Luther, spoiler by the way, and his hand splits open, it's like that split of him. is still there and it still opens up. Um, but he's seeking some type of absolution through all of this journey.
Right.
And maybe for Maggie, it's just a recognition that you have to move forward. You can't be still in the past. You've got to keep moving forward.
Right. Well, it's like when we were talking to Pam earlier, Pamela Blythe, she said that she's getting bad Maggie vibes, that she's doing something shady. And then, of course, Zanip, she said that the performance is amazing. And I had to laugh at Ashley. She said, we need a Nagy or a Megan.
Yeah.
Destiny definitely does not want the hate bang happening.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No,
I do.
No.
All
So
right.
were there any scenes that particularly jumped out at you guys that you wanted to visit about? Because I know we've got a special guest coming on in a little while. So was there anything that you guys wanted?
Mine's all about that dinosaur and what Maggie's thinking. I'm at the end, I think Ginny's gonna find, like when Negan was telling her to whistle when she needs help. I think at the end that's what she was gonna do, and I thought we were gonna see that in this scene, or pull out or start talking. So
there's a couple of scenes that I just want to hit on real quick, and we'll kind of go through these fast.
Yeah.
This one here, okay, so this cracked me up. The damn turkey. Okay. We saw this kind of thing go on in the mothership when the saviors were trying to collect the walkers with music. And it seems like the Croat is taking a lot of pages out of Negan's playbook.
Yeah.
Of course, Dava says hate bang. Yes. Sharandi says hate bang. We are all about the hate bang, ladies. We are excited about that. We want that to happen. So I think that you're seeing a lot of stuff that the Croat is doing that we saw from Negan's group. Right. And I just love that it's a Macy Day parade turkey.
Yeah.
And this is where Negan is talking about himself in the third party.
Mm-hmm.
When Luther or maybe it was Tommaso, that asked if it worked. And he said, yeah, it definitely worked. When they were talking about uprising against the big baddie.
I love the third party story.
Yeah, I did too.
Because and that's where my familiarity comes back in. Yeah. You just know.
And you saw the little smile on his face when they asked him if it worked, and he said, "Oh yeah, it worked." All right. So then this is the inside of the arena where they kind of have their little, where Pearly has his battle. And it kind of is reminiscent of the governor. I mean, even way back to, when they were having the fights with Merle and the walkers and stuff like that for sport.
Yeah.
Let's see. And of course, this broke my heart. I was so mad at Maggie.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm so mad at her.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this and then when, just trying to show that the touch of empathy, the touch of compassion, the touch of I understand, and she just jerks back. It's just like, oh, I just wanted to reach through and slap the shit out of her.
Yeah. I agree. And I, like I said before, I haven't liked Maggie since she left the farm, and she just really pissed me off in this scene.
Yeah. And of course, their next scene that they go into when they're having their conversation, I don't know. Do you have it? Oh, I'm sorry, Carol. You may have another slide.
Yeah. This I thought was brilliant. This whole thing about him making him swallow the handcuff keys. And then, we see that come to fruition later on. And so I just thought that was just a well-rounded mini plot within a plot of the show. And that just goes to show you how wonderful these writers are for this show.
Yeah. Who would have thought? That's pretty impressive.
Okay, so these I did side by side, and I was going to change these. And thank you, Zanape. Yeah, I'm mad at Maggie too. I can't stand her. This is the pictures that Maggie is pulling out of that little box that she had of mementos. And Eliza and I were talking earlier today, and Barb, maybe you have a different insight on this, but I think the picture on the left might be Maggie's mom with Beth, maybe her stepmom with Beth, or it might be Maggie's mom with Maggie.
Right. And my question was, how the heck does she have these pictures? I'm sorry, she left the farm empty-handed, and I think Beth did too. So, like,
well, I think Beth had her diary though, right?
Yeah.
And
I don't know.
And Glenn had Herschel's watch because it was hanging on his little marker there at Hilltop, if I'm not mistaken, and she took it, or I think. But it's kind of like Ben trying to figure out how did Ross get out of the basement,
Right.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't. Where is it?
Maggie and Beth as kids.
Yeah, because she's so much younger. Wes, who's Maggie? Shut up, Wes.
And that's a good thought too. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
That's a good insight.
Yeah.
And of course, this is the one that caused Destiny to lose her self-control.
Yeah. Cry a little.
Yeah, tear up a little bit. Okay, so this is the last scene, and I know that we're going through a lot of these slides fast, but this was the reason that I grabbed this was because Barb noticed it.
Well, when I first looked at it, I read it quick, and I had to rewind to make sure what it said. Can I say what I thought it said?
Yeah.
I thought it said Porter and Ford. So what I thought it was Eugene Porter and Abraham Ford, but when I went back, obviously, but I just thought that was pretty cool.
Well, but off of that, Barb, I had told you that, even though your eyes said Porter and Ford, even Potter and Ford, as Carol pointed out, Potter was a savior.
Right.
Ford was one of our survivors. And so you still have that dichotomy coming into a box truck of Maggie and Negan, savior survivors. So
right, absolutely.
I could still go with that. I could still roll with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And somebody mentioned something about Maggie saying that those were the only people that mattered to her.
Right.
And which is, she did say in the show that, she only had a few people that were important to her. So what does that say about everybody else that affected Maggie's life and had something to do with her and saved her ass a million times? She wasn't always the badass that she was. I'm sorry, I'm getting really upset with Maggie.
That's being a little self-centered and selfish. Yeah.
Yeah. So that just bothered me.
Yeah.
And Zanape said, I never liked Maggie since season 2. Yeah.
Yeah. She was nice she was a nice farm girl.
Yeah.
I never disliked her, so I'm probably different than anybody else. I never disliked her.
But
I liked her in season 2, man. She was awesome in season 2. I loved her in season 2, and I thought she was perfect for Glenn. But then it was like,
But in this one particular episode, we see Negan standing up for her. When they're in the little market or store, and she turns to walk off, and he's like, she's tougher than she looks, and she looks tough as shit, and then she vouches for him in front of them. So that, like we mentioned last week, there is a certain level of respect.
Mm-hmm.
Again, going back to even what the Dead City subtitle, keep your enemies close.
Right. Randy said Maggie has been his least favorite character since she took over Hillside, and you know what?
Yeah,
I'm 100% behind you, Randy.
Yeah, she got a little big for her britches.
Yeah. So, What happened? Shauna wants to know what happened in those years leading up to Dead City that led her to feel that way and have to go to Negan for help. Is that all that's left? Did she push everyone else away? Now, that's a good point. She may have, you know. She may have pulled a Michonne and decided to keep the Hilltop separate.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good. I think that's a good good theory.
Well, and she spent what we know 6 years away from everyone, because when Rick blew up the bridge, that was also Lauren Cohen's last episode, and so
Too
we
soon.
know.
Too soon.
We got to take a moment. Got to take a moment.
Can we take a moment of silence, please?
The military blew up the bridge while Rick was on it. There we go.
That's right.
But yeah, so you know, she does tend to want to be one of those to go out on her own, and I think that is probably what has caused a lot of the angst between she and Herschel.
Yeah.
Is, you know, she's not allowed him to have any type of normalcy for what normalcy you can have in an apocalypse. You know,
I think it's all just been training, and he's getting sick of it.
Right. And she even tells him, you know, he tried to pick up a brick and a shovel, and I told him he was stupid, and that was the last thing they said to him. I mean, hell, he probably ran to the Croat saying, "Please take me away from Mama."
Yeah, right. So, no, Terry, we're not going to burn any bridges. No burning bridges. We're done with that. The heart can't take it.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, guys, with our little technical difficulties, and coming from our page, which we're going to need to fix. When I post your comments, it just says Facebook user.
Mine does too.
Yeah, so we're going to try to adjust our page so that it's a public page and not a private group. So just bear with us. We're flying the plane and building it.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just me. And
no.
Okay.
So we do have a special guest.
We do. I wonder.
We do. And this person is asking for the link.
I've got it. I'm sending it now.
Okay. So we have a very, very special guest tonight.
And there's more about this episode, guys, and we'll probably follow up with it next week, and when we can dig a little deeper.
Yeah.
Sure. And I could watch it again. But I did take a lot of notes this time because I was a little bit, into it. So.
And I wanted to say, I did not see any difference in the title credits. So if anybody has seen anything that was different from the last two, please let me know.
Now you're going to make me go with like a fine-tooth comb and a magnifying glass.
Screenshot of like every second I was doing it. And I'm like, I still don't see anything different. I'm
So I wanted to point it out. I don't know while we're waiting on Oscar to come in, you know, they're taking all the walkers and putting them into the arena and putting them into, bubble solution and making methane for fuel, for power. But they're also huffing this stuff, which I don't think, smoking dead people can be good for you. But in the words of Sandy Morrison, it's gross as fuck, but it's still science. And if you watched Z Nation, they took zombies and walkers and ground them up and made marijuana to be called Z-weed.
Yep.
So, maybe we can do something in the future apocalypse, guys, if we get down to it. Just have some really outrageous Z-weed and start huffing on and you thought passing gas was bad. Wait till you smell this.
And Terry said, well, people are a resource.
Right? That's exactly what it is. I mean, you think.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Who said Soylent?
Wait till you get a smell of this one.
Somebody said Soylent. Shauna said Soylent blue instead of Soylent green.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it looks like it looks like our peeper has peeped into the waiting room.
Yay, our peeper.
Carol, you want to roll those beautiful bean footage?
I will roll those beautiful bean footage. Are we going to do the slides?
Well, where's your beautiful intro that you had of him?
Just of his pages and stuff. Is that what you wanted? There we go.
Okay, there they go. And you ready? Are we ready for the cuteness?
Cutie,
So
cutie.
we're gonna let's introduce this guy. He is the cutest Puerto Rican you will ever find in the whole United States.
He's cuter than Paola. I'm sorry.
He's cuter than Paola. He knows how to suck a Jello shot.
Yeah, be careful now.
He likes to get wet. And if it weren't for him, we wouldn't be here.
That's
so
right.
Without further ado,
there he is.
Hi guys.
Man, the myth, the legend.
What's going on?
Hey, handsome.
So I figured I'd do my little Clark Kent thing. Hold on. There's a method to the madness, because I don't know if you guys are having Oscar's red hat on or if we're having Oscar Rodriquez on.
Well, we'll do
with
both.
that, we brought both. So what I'm going to do for you guys right now is we're going to do a quick change. We're going to go like so, and then
where'd he go?
we're going to go like that.
There he is.
Oh my God.
And Oscar's red hat is in the building. What's going on, ladies? How are you?
Hey.
Boo.
Thanks for coming on.
Can we start it off where my bitch is at?
That's right. We're right here.
Where my bitch is at?
Ready?
Well, where my bitch is. All right, here. Now that we got that out of the way, I'm all yours.
Well, everybody in the comments are just freaking out. Everybody's all excited, saying hello, Oscar.
Hi guys. Am I able to? Real quick, can I see that? Do I hit like the chat down here, or how do I get to?
I have it on my phone. I have the feed on my phone too.
Okay.
So I can see all the comments. So I kind of have it as a sideline.
And they're all saying you fuck. And
You fuck.
Motherfucker. And Oscar, you fuck. And who
Where'd
the
he
hell
go?
is that guy?
Where'd he go?
Go,
Uh-oh. We lost him.
Oscar.
Come back. Y'all scared him off.
Oscar.
Come back. Come back to the light, Caroline.
Sorry, it was me. Yeah, I was just trying to see if I could see the chats, and then I
That's all right. I got you.
pop myself out of here. But anyway, hi guys. I'm not ignoring anyone. I can't see anything going on. So
We'll
my
try,
apologies.
we'll try to follow it for you.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah. I got
Dawn
it.
had to be at work tonight, but she has a question. So when you're ready for hers, let me know.
Me or
Yeah, Oscar.
yeah, I'm here for y'all. So you kind of just direct me and take advantage. And Carol, use your eyes anytime you want. And I'm here to play. Let's go.
All right. Dawn wants to know, and you can let everybody else know, what would have happened. Oh, sorry. What got you the love for Walking Dead? How did that get you involved in the camp?
Oh wow! So man, there's so much to that story. So her question is, because of my love, is
For
that
the
how?
Walking Dead? How did you get into the camp? How did that transition happen?
Well, I think that the obviously the for me it was the show, and then going, oh, there's a book or there's some graphic novel. There's something more to this thing, and so watching the show, getting into the comic book, and then that kind of piqued because I stopped drawing for a long time. Like I did it obviously my whole life. You guys know we celebrated my 50th, right? So I've been doing it since I'm a little boy, way back in the 70s. And yeah, so I started wanting to doodle these characters. I don't even think Casey knew that I was an artist, and we were together a pretty long time up to that point. And God, so moving forward, the art's there, and it's everywhere. It's on Facebook. I'm putting it on Twitter, and the idea was, we met some other artists, and we wanted to showcase our artwork. We wanted to maybe have galleries, do something like that. And so, how the whole camp thing started, it was the Sonoy Dead Bash, right? That's where it all kind of happened. And obviously, again, it was Walking Dead, me getting into the comics, her seeing the drawings, me going, ooh, I drew Carl, look, I drew Rick. And then from there, the Walker Stalkers and the cons. And my first show was here in Monroe. I did the Pop Fest. It was the Monroe Comic Con. And it was the first time I was going to showcase any of the work that I'd done. And we did well. And so anyway, fast forward, and we got with a few other artists, and we said, hey, let's do something in Sonoy. And yeah, it was a few of us sitting at a table, and Casey's like, yeah, we'll showcase your guys' art, and maybe we'll just have some actors in the background. You know, it was more about what we had to offer, and that they would be, I guess, we would be the cake, they might be the icing, or vice versa. And yeah, that's how that bash came to be. And of course, everybody doesn't see eye to eye, eye to eye, and we had a different vision of what we wanted, if the show was going to continue, what we wanted it to be, how we wanted it to be. And that's where the camp was born. We did this charity thing up at the lake, the Camp Merrimack charity bash, and it was a free show. It was kind of to counter the other show. We were having issues, and that's where kind of the camp was born. So yeah, it all feeds everything. I guess everything we're all doing, loving,
Right.
is The Walking Dead. I mean, it was based on that. It was, my love for the show, because Casey didn't even get involved till, I want to say, season 3, and I was so pissed off because it was like, ooh, I'm gonna watch the season 3 finale. I'm like, you motherfucker. There's like, you can't just catch it now. So she did that, and then we of course backtracked for her. We caught up, and then she's been a follower. And us, our walker stalking and us chasing Sonoy, I mean, we've been doing that since the Woodbury days. And Casey was the one, and I hate to say it, I mean, a lot of people didn't like that group, the Spoiling the Dead, that shared a bunch of shit. Well, we connected with a few of the people there, and they told us where to go, because we really were fascinated. We're like, we want to see where this is happening, where they're filming. And we took a trip down there, and it was probably one of the best times of our lives. Our kids were young, and we just continue to do that. And so that, and the art and the shows and being a vendor, and then producing our first show, that Sonoy Dead Bash, with these other artists. And I know some of you, Eliza, I think you go all the way back to one of our first, if not the first.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, it just kind of, that was the birth of the baby, and some of the parents kind of had to separate, but we worked it out, and it went from like the Camp Merrimack Charity Bash, and then we dropped that part of the name, and we ended up with the camp. So
Right.
there's a lot of influence from not just myself, other artists. Obviously, Casey is our brainchild. My wife, I love her. She is what she always says, the face. But without her sincerely 100, I know you guys always shout me out, but she deserves more than even me.
We
No, I love Casey more than I love you, Oscar.
Yeah. No. I know you guys love and appreciate, but I'm shouting her out. Like, Casey is the glue, and we have other names. We have Jake behind the scenes and Karen behind the scenes. There's so many, and yes, like anything, life, right? Things change, you grow. And so we've had to make some changes, and some people are no longer there, and some people are now there, and it's just the way it goes. And it doesn't mean we don't love everybody. There's no, I have no hate. I'm all about smiling, hugging, kissing, making out. I must have had about 2,000 sets of tits or boobs all over me for camp weekend, which was phenomenal. I love my hugs, so keep them coming. Big ones, small ones. I think there was a lopsided set, no discs, but they were a little off. I don't know if they were in the bra off, but it's all
I
love,
don't
guys.
discriminate. It's
But
okay.
anyway, so for Dawn, that's kind of how that was birthed. I don't know if that helps. If you guys get anything out of that.
Well,
Absolutely.
I had a question following off of that. You said the Monroe Pop Fest was your first con. What was your actually first Walking Dead piece that you drew that you said, besides your doodles, you said, I'm going to market this. I'm going to sell this.
It was when I getting back to starting watching that show and falling in love. And it's weird because I watched 3 episodes, the first 3, and I'm like, I can't get into this shit. And then my brother was in my ear, and he's like, you got to keep going. So I kept going. And then I'm like, where did this come from? And it's like, oh, it's this comic book. So I got just a random issue, let's say issue 49, because I wasn't collecting these things. And I open it up, and there's just this picture of Carl with the hair over the hole. He was already obviously shot in the comic book at this point. He's got his gun out like here. And I said, I got to draw that. And I did. And then I said, well, what's Carl without his dad? So, and this was one of the, like the first person, when you see my artwork now versus, hi, Dawn, um, versus what I was doing with just pencils and paper, which I still love to do. That fascinates me. It was the Carl, then I added Rick, and then I added Lori, and I added Shane, and I added, so down in the one corner, there's Herschel. And these were all just the comic variants, right? I hadn't even gotten into, I was just getting the rust out. So it was that piece there that once she had, Casey saw it, because I was constantly sharing, like, looking for, hey, is it good? Like, is it right? Because I know what I see, but you're always looking for some type of like constructive or even positive criticism. And so I was looking for the okay from her to go, oh yeah, that's cool. And she's like, yeah, that's pretty all right. So I took it to the next step, and it would be that first piece. I can't say it was a collage, and they were just a bunch of black and white figures. It was Carl, Rick, Morgan. I added a few. I want to say maybe there was 10 characters on there. And then there I knew, yeah, I'd love to show this off. So I sent it to Twitter, put it up in the Twitterverse, and people were eating it up. Okay. And it wasn't until Skybound, right? We know Skybound Verified, Walking Dead, Kirkman, when they go, wow, that's badass, that I said, oh, I'm onto something, because the people that created the comic just quoted or retweeted my piece with words, not just sharing it. They went, oh shit, this is pretty dope. And so that's what kind of lit that fire to just keep going. So yeah, that would be that, Elisa. I hope that helped. You motherfucker.
You motherfucker.
let me get the bug tension breaker. Ah!
All right, so my question is next, and of course,
shit, man, you guys are drilling me.
Yeah. So because I absolutely adore you, and
I love you too. Thank you.
But we know that I love Casey more. I need to know how you and Casey met. That's what I want to know.
You want the short or you want the long? I don't know how much time we have.
Well, that was our other question. Is
we know there's nothing about you that's long, Oscar. We want
to know. What a B fucking ox. Dawn, I thought you had my back, Dawn. Where the fuck have you been?
That was Destiny's question. Is it, is it a single or a double fist?
Oh. Yeah, I have the picture. We actually know how.
All right, so we'll do the short of the long, I guess. So okay, yeah. I want to say it's like 2003, right? Because it's 2020 right now, or 23. So it's been about 20 years. We met. We worked at Concentra. It was an occupational clinic. We're both medical assistants there, and Casey is Casey. You guys know her. She's either on or she's off, or there's not a lot of middle. And she was always on at work. And when I say on, it was the stuff that I was never, I was just coming off a divorce. I think she was kind of in a separation, and she had Tyler, who was, I want to say 2, maybe 3 years old. And I'm like, man, I like her. And, she was so fun. It was so fascinating. It was different from anybody that I'd been with up to that point. And so I think we went to, because we live very close to Canada here in Detroit, or we're south of Detroit, but, suburb of Detroit. And we go, hey, let's go to the bars over there. So we did that. And I want to say it was a few months later, maybe 5 or 6 months. We hadn't really done anything as far as going out or just hanging out. I mean, we would go as groups, a bunch of the doctors, some of us assistants, or the front desk people would all go out and have drinks or whatever. And then it was, I want to say it was right around November. I think that first time was March or April. We kind of got together, and she wanted, I'm gonna tell you secrets, babe. It was right around her birthday, and she wanted to go shopping. So we went shopping, and it was for girl stuff, like Victoria's Secrets and stuff like that. And yeah, that was our true moment. So it was really cool.
You was with nasty panties. That's how she.
No, they were actually really pretty. I helped her pick. It was almost like, do you guys remember Pretty Woman when he takes her shopping and she comes out and goes in and comes out and goes in? It was kind of like that move. And then finally it was like, oh yeah.
And then it was for you too, not just her.
It was about 20 years ago. And like I said, we were both kind of I wouldn't say lost, but we were kind of leaving our ending a chapter, and we just kind of opened both of our books. And I don't think we were both looking for anything. I think I was more interested than she was at the time. I want to say, because there was a lot going on, and it just kind of just happened, man. It was cool, and I was like crazy about it. Like I like fell hard really quick, and we're together, man. We've been together a really long time. I mean, we have a beautiful son, or beautiful sons. I've been fortunate enough to raise Tyler since he's 3. We have Jordan, who's going to be 15, and yeah, it's been pretty dope, man. So I don't know if that answers your question, Eliza, but we met at work.
No, that was Carol's question.
So, Carol,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
So Maria wants to know if shopping is
the new brown chicken brown.
No, we went shopping we went to Victoria's Secrets. We went shopping. It was her birthday. She needed some undergarments. And then we did that. And then we had a little try-on session. We'll leave it at that.
Barry wants to know if Barry White was playing in the background.
Oh shit, just in my head, man. I don't think anything was playing. It was just all the sound of my voice. I was like, yeah, girl.
We've got some of your art that we want to throw up and
okay,
just kind of go through, and
I'd love to see some.
We would too, if it'll work. Oh, maybe there's too many of us.
Here we go.
There we go.
Oh, that's beautiful artwork right there. That's fantastic.
Well, that's the creation. That's the creation.
Oh, there's some really cool stuff there. Yeah, wow. It's really fascinating to see it after it's done and somebody's showing it. Like I took all these photos, I'm sure.
Yeah, you did. I stole them from your page. But we wanted to go through and show, like, you do more than just art. You make stuff. Like I like it, you know.
I love to. I always say I have this third eye. So with having or being able to see, I think past what's in front of you, right? Like I see around corners and things like that. It helps me to navigate and to create, you know, like I know Carol does insides and designing, right? You do all this, you got to have this, like there's a vision that comes along with that. Yeah. And a bunch of what you see, whether I'm taking a heat press and pressing, yeah, you can look at it the easy way, or I'm creating, like there's my heart, my love, my mind. I might have seen it a little bit off and I made a little bit of or I added a little something more to what's there. And so that's the creation process for me is, it's everything in a sense, you know what I'm saying? It's my Zen, it's my go-to. And everybody's sleeping in the house and I got baby Yodas on the counter and I'm painting and, I'm running to the back door to smoke my cigarette, turn it out, come back over. And so I really do. And I'm very fascinated now with the 3D prints and, well, you guys, I mean, you, all of you here on this podcast, you guys are huge. Oh, look at those. That's fascinating. You guys are huge supporters of my work. So I want to say thank you. And I know a ton of you out there, I can't see everybody, but just speaking of who I can see, you guys have been there.
And Oscar, not only that, you take like ideas like we give you and you're like, that's cool, let's try it. You know, like my life choices. You create it from scratch.
My tennis shoes.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Barb hit me up with, hey, I want some. I created something and then I'm like, she's like, let's take it to the next level. And so with her ideas, we were able to produce these really dope, the switches. And then Carol, with the shoe, she's like, I like the whole comic thing, but I want to incorporate some of the TV. So we took these comic characters and added elements of the TV show and produced like these one-of-a-kind shoes. So, and I've never done a pair of shoes. So she, you know, wow, those are fabulous, man. Look at the little Carl too. That one was actually signed by Chandler. If you look up under his chin there, you'll see Chandler sign that. Long time ago, but and
what's so good is you work with so many different mediums, from you know your 3D print to your shadow boxes, or go back to that one where you've actually put your handprint in it. It's your print, and the picture of you down here is just so cool.
the idea of the handprint for me was, people are like, well, can you sign it? And I'm going, well, yeah, signing a piece of art that I draw from, something that I draw, I can understand signing that. Taking a wooden box and, putting a 3D piece on the outside and then putting this photo on the inside and glazing that and sealing the box. I mean, it's creating, but I don't know. It's different. So I thought the handprint could be a form of a signature.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where, in my mind, that's kind of where that came from. It also helps with, a bloody handprint. I mean, come on, it's The Walking Dead, right? It's horror.
I love that.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
that element came from there. And, those are sublimated T-shirts. That's a style of printing. Obviously, I took a lot of, if you're looking at the Negan piece here, that's a form of digital mixed with, drawing that I incorporated into the program and then I could extend. I could do backgrounds. I could do lettering, text, and so on. So it added one more element or two more to be able to produce something on, next level.
Right.
To give you guys something more.
And I love your baby Groot and baby Yoda. Of course.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You've got coffee cups, and now you've just come out with your horror line of coffee mugs, which is fantastic.
Yeah, so I did a couple of the Walking Dead ones, and I'm doing a show with Santiago here. Oh, those are fascinating. Obviously, look, shout out to the comic covers. Everybody has kind of that one in the middle was just kind of like a play one too. That's not her original. Yeah. We kind of took a Barb there and we popped around with Rick. But that's a really, really, really cool piece. Yeah, those are really brilliant. I'm glad Dawn hit me up and said, hey, I want to be a comic book, because she kind of brought that commission style. It had been a while. I think the last thing I did was maybe Carol's shoes. And so to have somebody say, hey, do this, try to do this, and, to come up with these covers. And I thank you guys because they're a big hit. I've had, I'm working on 2 right now, actually. Well, 3. I just got another one, but they're a lot of work, but they're a lot of fun. Once I see, oh, look at this shit, Jesus.
So I had to put this montage together because for the most part, it's like you like to kiss everybody. And
that was,
and of course I had to put in, the ones that our gang really likes, Andy and Norman and JDM. And
right. That was a thing I started doing I say a long time, at least maybe 6-7 years. I was going to the Walker Stalkers for a long time. And I said, well, if I could, and it was early too, so they weren't real into like, oh, no Candace, this, that. Now everything has changed, but it was a little easier. And I would simply say, I'd go up for an autograph or a selfie, and I'd go, hey, can we try this? I did this with one of the others. What do you think? Or I'd have the photo ready and show them. They go, okay, that looks cool. And so it kind of worked. It worked for, a couple of years. And I called myself the TWB Kissing Bandit for a while.
Those are fantastic.
Those are really, really cool photos. That one with Norman was that was a lot of fun. And I was really proud with Jeffrey there. Because I only went to get an autograph. I bought that voucher. We had 3 people, Casey, myself, and someone else on computers, because the things were selling out so fast. And we got it within 3 seconds. And I get there, and the girl that was handling for him was really rude. She had this stigma about me already. Oh, that's Oscar, because Walker Stalker had their underlying beef with me. He does this, he does that. He's trying to get free. No, I spent $108 for that. I didn't ask for anything else. I waited online like everybody else. Jeffrey recognized the picture. Recognized people were bringing it with a black background. He goes, holy shit. And the girl's like, oh, well, you're not going to pull that craziness you're always pulling. And I said, well, he's like, whoa, like back up. He told her, like, chill, like, don't mess up his moment. Like, what are you doing? Basically, you're killing it. So one of the girls from Walker Stalker said, hey, because she was being so rude, would you be okay with a photo? I said, well, hell yeah, that I didn't pay for it, but if you're offering and you're saying it's okay, Jeffrey's like, come on. So
Yeah.
he kind of set that up, and that was a huge day
Yeah.
for me. It was a highlight because he was just fresh Negan. I think it was one of his first or second shows, and yeah, to showcase that, to have him hold that piece, sign it, COA, was really exciting for me.
Yeah, I found in a lot of those conventions, it's their handlers or managers that are
Yeah.
the birds and not them. So, and
Yeah.
of course, the one with you was Scott Wilson. I mean, he was just an
This-
amazing man, and just the kindest man.
Yeah, he definitely was a highlight for me. Very, he was very soft. I mean, obviously he doesn't have. He was just very, just that you knew you were. That was an old soul right there. Even when he was a young man, he just had something. It was just he was so soft and so sweet, so gentle, but yet a man. If you get what I'm saying. And he
Yeah,
gave me gum. We shared a stick of double mint, so
there you go.
that was even more exciting.
And then this picture of Norman. Now, this is your original red hat.
That is the first ever Oscars red hat. It's where it all started. And that was one of those days standing out there before the community was gated. I think we were right at the post office right there in Sonoy, and we were able to get him to come out.
That's fantastic.
And he was signing some stuff. He wasn't gonna, and he's like, I kept egging him on. People kept ask him. Like, Norman, come on. He's like, all right, hold on. And finally, he came out with a couple of guys, and I'm like, man, can you sign the hat? He's like, hell yeah. And somebody, I didn't even know who took the picture because obviously Casey's behind me, but I randomly got it in an inbox somewhere, and they said, hey, I hope you enjoy. I was like, thanks, because he took care of a lot of people. At that when he came out, like everybody that was out there, the kids,
Yeah.
the seniors, everybody got love from Norman. That's when I knew, like, this guy is it. Like, Norman Reedus till this day has probably been the best interaction. And I mean, I've met him 5, 6, 7 times. He's always been just stellar, man.
Yeah.
Bomb, just bomb.
So, I don't know what, I think it was Destiny had a question as far
Sure.
as what was your favorite role? And was it, I mean, we know that you were in Zombieland Double Tap, and then of course in The Walking Dead, and you played in several roles within The Walking Dead. So what was your first role, and what was your favorite role?
So my first role was Whisper. I was cast, obviously as a background extra, cast as a Whisper, which I thought was going to be a one and done, and it turned into a core. They turned me into what's called the core. So anytime they needed whispers on set, whispers that day, I was one of the main 20, the top. So there's 1 through 20 that they would be their go-to. I was fortunate enough to be one of those. I don't know how it happened, but it happened. And then of course I played Walker, multiple Walkers. And my last run I did Walkers, and I did obviously I was a trooper for multiple episodes. I got to do some stand-in stuff there. I got to do some stunt work with light stuff. I also was a photo double, but for me it's gonna be Whisper because it was the first thing I got to do, and it was my longest stretch. I got to do that for 2 seasons. And I did have some feature roles. I was killed by Lydia. I worked very closely with Samantha Morton. I worked very close.
What about the scream that was heard throughout the hotel?
I know that was.
Did you remember that, Oscar?
Yeah, right. You remember that one?
Yeah, I do. I do remember that. That I was thinking about that a little bit today. In case that was like one of the questions that was asked, what was it like, to be, for me, so it's so surreal because again, we go back to Dawn's question. She wasn't here, but the beginning, how we started this whole thing. Could I have ever imagined, drawing that first Carl, watching, my favorite show that ultimately stayed my favorite through its time, right? Through the 12 years or whatever it was, to ever think that, for season 9, you would be on this thing. One time I thought, oh, that's going to be fabulous, but to spend almost 5 years working with these guys, holy shit. But then to see your face, because my expectation was I'm always going to be a walker, a monster, a whisperer. And then they go, and even as a trooper, you never really see just but the eyes, and that's if we don't have the goggles on for that scene.
Right.
And for them to and I was handpicked for that. And I was like, I had no clue. I was clueless when they go, Oscar, you're up. I said,
What?
Up for what? And so, my AD at the time, Dennis, was like, we understand that you've been with us a really long time and you travel, 800 miles back and forth and that you've been with us forever. So, we got a thing. So they sent me into a house in Alexandria, one of the holdings. I think it was Rosita's house. And Kari's in there and Cooper's in there and Paola's in there and Jeffrey's in there, and they're taking my helmet off and they took all the guts out of it and they're all they wanted to do was create a strap so that my face could be seen. They took off my baklava and all that stuff. And they said, okay, here you go, man. We're going to have you stand right in front of the man. I'm like, oh shit. So I'm thinking, there's a stand in there when we first walk over. There's a guy standing in for Jeffrey Dean Morgan, which I'm thinking, okay, we're gonna do this rehearsal. And then she's like, no, let's go. And mind you, it's 12 degrees outside, snowed for about 2 hours that night. And literally, I mean, you guys are looking out of these angles, but I was the guy standing directly in front, right there. My eyes were locked with Jeffrey Dean. And we're going through these takes, and he's winking at me and blowing kiss. Like, I don't know how many times.
I would have just eat a little.
He was so pissed. I mean, like I said, it was freezing. Obviously, for us, the scene was set. Yeah, it wasn't a winter day. Maybe it was a fall night or something. But Jeffrey's kneeling in wet sand. It's really cold. Our director is, bundled, coat, scarf. She's got this fur around the hood looking, and she's going, yeah, let's look at your face, because my face wasn't mean enough. So she's like, let's put it in the gate. And she's like, change it. Okay, that's good. Let's go. But it was really cool because, I got a chair and I got a coat and I got to actually get up from this background player for just for that night, obviously, or that week, actually, because we filmed Monday through Thursday, those scenes. And it was pretty intense. But then to watch it with you guys
was so proud of you. We were all so proud of you. I mean, we're proud of all of the people that we know that are in the show. And we were talking earlier before the podcast that you guys know who you are in a herd, but we had no idea. And I said, Carol was like, she was just going to take a horror picture and circle it and say that was her. And I said, well, hell, I'd have to be a well walker, But it's so when we were able to see, oh, that's our Oscar. It was fantastic, and we knew that there was an episode with Adam Dill and Jeff Wagner where they went to arrest Mercer, that you could see them, but the camera skewed them, and so they were a little blurred. But but you, man, you were right there, and we were so proud and happy.
Like I said, I just, you do things and you go, oh yeah, they're going to cut it. Cause there's been so many where you're looking for it and it's like, oh, it's not there. And, when she said, oh yeah, we're going to be doing close-ups right here, I'm going, yeah, sure. Okay. Because you think, there's been multiple times you're looking for yourself. You just ain't finding it. That whole thing got cut. And then to see that, I had no clue. I know what we filmed, and we always film extra and a ton. I just had no expectation to be on there for a second, let alone maybe 30 or 40 or whatever, however long that was. And then to be able to play, with Kari that night and hang out with Paola, and for them to say, hey, Oscar, to be, I don't even know how to say it. It's like, they took me in like a peer, you know what I'm saying? Like I was recognized. Obviously they've done the show, they've done the camp. So but then for them to not see the hat, and then I throw my hat and they go, oh shit, it's you. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm like this, that nobody knows shit. And then I go, okay, cut. I put it on there like, Oscar, what the fuck? I'm like, oh shit. So I got to feel big for a day, basically, is all I'm saying. So without it getting here, very exciting, very surreal, I don't even know, like, especially watching that with you guys, I was so emotional, so filled with emotion and on such a high level, because there was so many different feelings. It was exciting. It was happy cry, like, in a sense, right? I just didn't know, like, it was in my stomach. There was like nerves. There was all kind of things just happening. And it was really, really cool to be with everybody and to get that love from you guys was just amazing. So
Well,
thank
that
you.
was an amazing night because we were all, standing. We intentionally stood right behind you so we could scream and scare you.
We did.
But then when I looked over behind my shoulder, and up against the wall was Michael James Shaw and Cooper, and he had crocodile tears coming down his face. Michael James Shaw did, and that just killed me. I mean, it killed me with happiness and joy because that was a monumental moment in the storyline for him,
Right. Yeah.
for his character. And just to see those tears of happiness, and then I started crying right beside him. So it was wonderful, and we're proud of you and everything that you've done. And
Thank you so much.
I want to personally say to you and to Casey and to everybody else that's on the camp team, thank you. You make our dreams come true. You empty our bank accounts. You
We don't mean to, though. We just
you make us stay up way past our bedtime and do stupid shit, and we have created such a family because of what you guys bring to us every year. And
I do want to shout out, of course, Casey.
Mhm.
I do want to shout out Jay Carney. Jacob has been amazing, I mean, he's also one of the. Without him, it doesn't go. So I just want to put that out there, so everybody knows. This is Jake too.
Yeah, and
this is
Karen,
Casey. This is Dustin.
yeah, and Karen
Uh,
taking doing all the special
Karen.
events and
Yeah.
Her name was on my list. Like there's a few of us behind the scene. Obviously, without y'all, come on. I mean, we can't do this without people coming and participating and buying, and of course us taking all your money, like you said. But those key players, Casey, and I take myself out of the equation because I walk around, I do the hugging, I make a lot of noise. Of course, we break shit down, we put shit up. But these brains, Karen and Casey and Jake and Misty and Dustin and the Blaze, Nate, these guys, all this extension. I just want to make sure that their names are heard, and they are just as pivotal. Like without them and without y'all, we can't go. So I didn't want to leave anyone out, and if I did, I'm sorry. I know that we're gonna all come back and do it again. We'll be talking again, and I'll make sure I have a list together, because it doesn't happen. There's a lot of us, man. There's a lot of us working hard. So thank you guys for recognizing and appreciating that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we do. I mean, totally. And we're already sitting on pins and needles waiting for the May announcements to start rolling out. And
I do have 4 questions.
Okay.
Because you guys thought you were getting off.
Okay. Well, we always
Where you're concerned, Oscar, there's always an end before.
You bitch.
There we go.
Okay, so my favorite episode, I want to say, had for me had to be Clear, right? Morgan, the return, this thing with him and Rick, this thing with Michonne and Carl. There was a lot going on. When you look at the small picture, there was a ton. People look at the big picture and go, no, there was a lot happening in there. There was a lot of connections. I feel like there was resolution, but there wasn't. I just want to know what everybody's favorite episode was, and you don't have to say why. Just want to know what everybody's was.
Killer Within.
Killer Within, nice.
acting, the best acting ever. Sorry.
Okay.
Mine
18.
is No Sanctuary.
No Sanctuary.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those that don't know those episode names, can you
Yeah.
brief us on the episode? Like
Mine
maybe
is when
really
Rick
quick.
lost his wife and he goes back into the prison to fight his acting there was
Oh,
unbelievable
it was phenomenal.
when he
Phenomenal.
lost Lori. So
Dawn,
18 Miles Out.
good damn
It's
episode.
It's the whole season. Season 2 is excellent dialogue. There's so much going on, but the interaction between Shane and Rick was awesome. And then my favorite walker ever, the Lonely Walker.
Nice. Yep. Out there in the yep.
Yeah.
I actually made a picture for someone not too long ago. That's pretty dope. How about you, Carol?
Well, No Sanctuary is my favorite because without getting into a lot of history, I share a lot of the similar backgrounds with the character of Carol, and she becomes this just phenomenal force. And after she's kicked out and she's told to go away and nobody can trust her and I don't want you around my kids, she comes back and she saves the fucking day. And
She's gangster. Carol is fucking gang. That is a G if I ever saw one. Because like, who was not excited for that episode?
Yeah.
And the oh shit factor, you know what I'm saying? That one had so many oh shit factors. That episode, it was like, God, and you don't want to say it, but it's like, God damn, like, let's go, baby girl.
Yeah.
Like, she killed it. They definitely they elevated her to such a, and she was always a badass. I think it was internal, right?
Yeah.
I always thought looking at her like, this motherfucker's gonna pop because, you know, Ed and all that, like, she's got that monster in her. It's gonna happen. I'm glad they did that with Melissa. I think it was phenomenal. But yeah, fantastic episode. Eliza?
So yeah, No Sanctuary as well for me, but I also
Nice.
really I liked A Certain Doom.
Okay.
Certain Doom had so many converging elements. The fight with Beta.
Yes.
But going along with the line of Carol, that moment where she's getting ready to lead the horde off of the cliff and Lydia pulls her, and it was just like, that was just that was a moment. That was another
goddamn
moment. Yeah.
When you know, here's the thing about this show, man, and if I can say, like, I mean, we all have, those are all fantastic episodes. But when you get that moment, man, I mean, one of the ones that killed me, I'm never really good with seasons or the name, but you know, Rick's on the bridge. He had a spike through him and everybody's like, Rick, and Daryl how does Norman turn that on when he thinks Rick is done? Yeah. I was cooked. I was spent. You could turn me over. I was burnt. It was over. And it was
quiver. Like,
dude, it was just in Norman's face alone. There was another time. Remember, he's sitting down in the barn smoking the cigarette, turns it out, and he has that moment when Daryl cries. I call it the ugly cry, but motherfucker, bro. Like, and this show has that. And the hardest part for me is you're looking for it every single time, right? And then when you find it, it's like, damn! It's like the best thing you ever ate, the best thing you ever tasted for that moment. So, shout out to The Walking Dead for those times, man. It's like, damn. But yes.
And there are so many of those. I mean, it's really hard to find an episode that you don't love for some point, whether it's the cinematography, the writing, or the storyline. I mean, you know, the Pike scene.
Oh my God, I was dead.
That was a devastating episode, but the writing and the cinematography, walking through the woods and seeing just like, holy hell, you know, it gives me goosebumps just thinking about
just
that.
Even what was it when Sadiq is talking about that and then he goes to that flashback, that moment where he was, you know, because he forever, aside from obviously dying, spoiler alert, he had that, he was going to have PTSD forever, seeing what he saw and dealing with. But geez, man, I mean, even being a whisperer, that was hard. I'm like, you know, those are some of my favorite people up on those sticks. It's like, whoa, what did we do?
It's always
figured
hard
you
to
did that.
narrow down one episode, but like I always tell Dawn and them, I said that acting in Rick, when he loses Lori and figures it out. But there's also another episode I think of, and it's The Grove with Lizzie.
Oh
Her
my
Oh
God.
her
shit.
acting,
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
shit. Oh
that's
shit.
badass.
Yeah. I mean, I love Melissa McBride, but I could never go flower shopping with her.
Just,
And I would never leave my
As soon as she
children
said,
with
"Look
her.
at the peonies," I'd be like, "Nope, I'm out."
as soon as he said, "Look at anything."
It's just like Lenny James. I think he's amazing too. In this last episode of Fear, I mean, the last couple of episodes were like the bomb.
Yeah.
So he's amazing too. But I always go for the acting. So I have a lot of favorite episodes, but just the acting parts of that. Like even when you were talking about Daryl crying when he thought he lost Connie and Carol, that between Daryl and Carol at that moment, both of them were phenomenal. When he
Oh
thought
yeah,
he lost Connie
it's
in that cave, that was crazy.
when you
You know.
when they can capture that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just so amazing. Like, I mean, to be the director, to be behind there, to be looking in that little square to capture, because you got to remember, we're hearing music, we're hearing sounds. There's so much stuff that's not. I mean, when we're filming and it's quiet on set, there's nothing. They don't know the music that's going to go to this scene, but to capture that tear or that moment or that
Yep.
quiver. God, you got to be good. You have to have a good eye, man. I'm like fascinated with that stuff. It's brilliant. It's just brilliant.
So
See,
many people in the comments are talking about all the different episodes and stuff, and they're mentioning, like Wes is mentioning about the walkers in the barn, or the whisperers in the barn, and when Tara dies, and seeing Daryl cry. I mean, everybody is they're going nuts. They're talking about
Yes.
all sorts of different character deaths, and
Yeah.
and of course Jesus, when Jesus dies, the cinematography. I mean, when Jesus
Sensational.
dies, it was crazy. Of course, I was pissed off because I thought Jesus and Aaron should be together, but that's a whole nother story. But I mean, just the different locations, and especially, like the cemetery, the way it's all foggy and very eerie. And so everybody's going nuts in the comments, and they're all talking about the different deaths and stuff, which I find fantastic.
You were going to say something, Don.
Right on.
my favorite with Andy is 7-1 when Negan's wanting him to cut Carl's arm off, and he's
Oh my God, yes.
coming through his nose.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
That
I
was
mean,
amazing.
You think of the build up to get to that point where you're getting yourself, because you've obviously created the tears. You got to do it again. You're getting there's so much happening for them to capture that moment is fucking brilliant, because it looks so natural, like that would be happening. You're getting ready to cry. You're gonna have some like mucus coming out of there, and the tears, and it was just those are epic moments.
You got little mocos.
A little bit of moco. So I was gonna say boogers, but what you gonna do? But yes, I'm glad we got people talking, because that's exciting to know that everybody has. And it's so funny because I'll go back. Casey will watch an episode. I'll watch 3. I'll watch 5 and go, fuck, that happened. I missed that.
Yeah.
Like,
Barb and I do that. Barb's been watching it. She's watched it more than I have, but I think I'm on like the, I don't know, 58th time through.
I think I'm at 70.
and I still miss stuff. Like I was on my 40th something time through and never realized that the governor's picture on his mantle
with Denise.
Yeah, I never even saw it, and then was like, oh my gosh, that's Denise Huth. So
yep.
But isn't it amazing when you watch it like the 50th time in the same spot, you will still cry?
Oh, yeah, all the time. All the time.
You still get that same.
I went into an episode to look for background stuff that someone had gotten from AMC and see if I can quote it. I'm like, I can't believe I'm crying.
Man, I sped up to it. I didn't even watch the build up. I got right to the motherfucker and was crying. But yeah, that happens. I'm like, how is it doing this to me again? I'll tell Casey, should be sitting there. I'm like, and because I know me, I'll be sitting down at the sofa and I'll stand up. I walk towards the television. I cross my arms because I'm in. It just got me. And I'm finishing it off. And she already knows, like, okay, shut up. Dad's watching that part. Because it's just like, shit, like, what the fuck? Here we go. It's happening again. And I've seen it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
I have an event for Casey now at the camp. I want to watch an episode with Oscar.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I want to watch
Is that what you guys want to do?
Yeah.
His
Oh,
favorite
shit.
episode. His favorite episode.
Yes,
Oh.
his favorite episode. That's what we need to do.
Casey. Oh, well, I think she's upstairs working with Jordan. She's probably watching up there, but I'll let her know. That could be something dope. Let's do that. I'd love to do that with you guys.
That would be so much fun.
Yeah, but it would have to be your favorite. We don't want to watch the episode where we see your face with.
No, we're gonna watch Clear. We're watching Clear.
But I do have to say now, Oscar, is that the first couple of times that I watched your episode, every time I'm like, okay, that's Oscar. I'm so proud of him, blah, blah, blah. But now I watch it and I go, he's just nasty looking. He's just mean. He don't kill that guy. So I've completely lost the whole Oscar thing. And now I'm like, don't shoot him.
So the whole idea was when they talked to us a little bit about that, the main guy that Negan is having issues with, that other Latino looking guy, he's like, come on, bro, you really don't want to do this. Me and him, it's like Trooper 197, Trooper 196. Me and him are kind of like, cool. That's the backstory. This is what the guy Manu was telling me. He's like, this is us. So I'm kind of co-signing to his shit. Like outside of this, like we're guys. So if he's going to take out Negan, I'm taking it on Negan. If his face is on, my face is on. There's even a scene where he looks at me like, do we do this? And I go like, you see what I just did? I'm like, well, they cut that because you'll see where he looks at me and they're supposed to come back to me and I turn and go, whatever. We filmed that and that's missing. And I know it's because they had to piece it together, but there is another interaction between me and the one that ends up shooting the one guy.
Yeah.
Before the warden gets stabbed, we had a little interaction, which I thought would have been super dope. But again, they had to, that 1 second was what put him over the top, that millisecond. Because I kind of look at him, I changed the look. I went from that mean scowl to, okay, I don't know. I'm like, whatever you want to do, basically. I'm shrugging with the gun, like, okay, what do you want to do? And then I go back to, sights on Negan. So there's a lot of cool behind the scenes stuff, but that face was pretty mean. And she specifically pulled that out of me. Rosemary was her name, Rodriquez, the director.
Huh.
So we've heard a lot of the actors on the show say that they have taken things home. Like Norman said he had a dozen crossbows, and Jeffrey took home the real Lucille.
Right.
Oh, wow.
So what did Oscar take home?
Some ticks and fleas all over my nuts, all over these nuts. No. So there was a time, I'll say this now, it was early on. It was like season 9 and, we were worried about like cameras and all that. It were real sticklers still. Kind of got loose towards 10 and 11, but there was like a little piece of like leather that was at the camp, like the Whisper camp, that we were stringing the skin up. And it was just kind of an end after we were done there. That week that we filmed there, it's kind of getting kicked across. I picked it up, rolled it up, and so I have that. I do have other souvenirs from other people without mentioning names. They were able to find some things and get some stuff, but myself, I took that little piece. So I keep that one.
We all want a little piece.
I got my little piece.
Yeah, Dawn's looking for, and Dawn and Carol are looking for underwear to get DNA.
Okay. Damn. What do you got? Well, who's got the cloning machine?
I don't know. We'll find one. Hey, Oscar, I just have one real quick question for you.
Sure. I'm here.
So since you've been on the show, but you're friends with a lot of the background actors, and we know a lot of the background actors too because of the camp. Do you find yourself watching episodes and not paying attention to the foreground?
All day. And here's the funny part about that. It's not just Walking Dead anymore. I could be doing Stranger Things. I found myself watching a movie, Richard Jewell, that was filmed in Atlanta. There was one of the Jumanjis, and I'm like, oh, there's this person, there's that guy, there's Ray J, there's Wesley, or there's, you know what I'm saying? So it's become a lot of, I'm watching, it's whatever's filmed in Georgia, I'm looking past the actor going, oh, there's Bethany, or there's Nate. You know what I'm saying? So I do that a lot now. A lot.
There was a movie that Wes and Sarah were both in, and I can never remember the name of it. It was some sort of sci-fi something or other, and
All Out.
and
What?
All Out War.
The Tomorrow War.
Tomorrow Wars. And
Tomorrow
I'm just watching it, just nonchalantly, had no clue that they were in it or anything like that. And then all of a sudden, I see, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I had to rewind. And I'm like, oh my God, that's Wesley.
Nice
And then
shirt.
I told Wes about it, and he's like, oh yeah, Sarah's in the scene too. So then I'm like, what? And I had to rewind it again, and sure enough.
And
So yeah, I
Stacey
do the same,
Crowder
and I
is-
think a lot of us do now.
And Stacey Crowder's in that one as
And
well.
Stacey, well,
Yeah.
that was the second one I saw with Stacey. So
So
There
Oscar,
were- Go ahead.
if you were a writer on the show,
Mm-hmm.
what episode would you rewrite to have a different outcome?
Wow.
Holy shit. I probably me. Okay, sincerely, I would probably, because I think I've thought about this. I would want Herschel to not die, and I would rewrite that episode that, maybe Tyrese would have his own death, and that we could have a little bit more Herschel. That one for me would. I mean, there's so many. I could probably say 20 other episodes, and I know we're probably going to have a million down there going. Oh, this. And I could have changed that, but for me, I mean, I almost feel that way about Sophia. I thought we could have a little bit more, but I would stick my guns, and I would rewrite that Herschel didn't die the way he did.
Yeah, I don't think we could have. I don't think Sophia should have lasted, because the reason I say that is because had Sophia lived through, we would not have gotten the Carol that we have.
yeah,
True.
yeah.
True.
I think Carol wouldn't have been the badass.
That was the precipice, or the catalyst, I should say, that pushed her into being whom she became.
Mhm.
And in fact, it was on one of your pieces, I'm hardly the woman I was, before. So I was kind of glad that we lost Sophia, but Herschel, absolutely. Who else?
Yeah.
Who would y'all want to keep alive besides Rick?
Andrea.
Tara.
Sarah? Carol?
Glenn,
Glenn?
Yeah, that would have been interesting too. Glenn. Who said Glenn?
I did.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that although I love the fact that he got his comic book death,
Yeah.
because he deserved something that epic. But I think that I would not have killed him off.
I think I would have, though, just
Yeah.
because it was so pivotal. I think I wouldn't have added Abraham into that equation.
Maybe that's
And that's what kind of messed it up for me, because it wasn't necessary. That itself was such a moment, even for the fans of the books. That was huge. And that was the introduction of Negan, the 100. We already knew of him, just like we did in the show. The whistling, I am Negan, all this, until we physically see this guy do the do. I definitely would have not did. Abraham would have lived in my writing.
Yeah.
And Glenn would have he had to, man. It would have been so hard to deviate for me as the guy writing this. That was a huge moment. I think it needed to be done. Yeah, we got, of course we're disregarding Maggie's feelings and the fact that she's pregnant and Herschel's born, but it was written, man. It was written that way. But I would change that up. I think Abraham should have stuck around a little bit longer too. He's definitely an OG, man.
Are you watching Dead City?
Am I?
Yeah.
Yes. So I am 2 episodes in, and I think we started last night, and then something popped off. We were gonna, what is it? Episode 3, right? We have 3 episodes.
Right.
So yeah, I'm feeling it. I mean, after we got to see OG Negan, I was super excited for that. Obviously, Knock Knock and Glass. That for me was like, okay, I gotta maintain, because if we can continue to see that Negan from time to time, and I know that it's not going to be all the time. He's changed. But to know that still exists, that really does it for me, because I like him, man. I don't give a damn. I liked him when he bashed everybody's brains in. I
did too. Thank you.
I don't give a damn, man. I just know that, if the shoe was on the other foot, I know that a ton of us are pro Rick but we seen Rick leave a motherfucker out there with a book bag and that guy get eaten. And we seen Rick, we seen these guys take out people, do things the same way as the saviors would. It's just because we're looking at them as what the protagonist and not the end, right? Or vice versa. I think I would have loved to have been a savior over Rick and his crew. But I think Rick and his crew were down too. I love the characters, but I love that they turned into look, man, they have to be who they have to be to survive, or what they feel they need to be to get through. Negan is basically the same thing. We saw the backstory. We saw that he was a regular guy. We saw what pushed him over the edge. With his episode, and even it's the similarities in the comics. So yeah, Negan created this anti-hero, but he needed to be that. That's what was keeping him right here at the top of that totem pole, and I praise him.
Yeah, and the thing that I mentioned earlier in the show was this is like a show of absolution for
definitely,
but it's still a Jekyll and Hyde,
right?
I thought about how in those moments he is able to fall back into his Negan ways, but then there's a sense of remorse almost, because he wants to be good. He wants to do good, but he is paying for all of his ideologies and his philosophies that he created as this person 12 or 15 years ago, as he says. And there's no beeswax that can cover that wound. Once it gets opened, it's going to remain open. And, so when I see him bandaging his hand, every time he does something bad, you know what? That old wound opens back up again.
Yeah, definitely. There was a lot of symbolism in that episode where, I got to watch you guys talk about it, but just my 2 cents, him going, yeah, it's going to, you butter, because you better bring your umbrella. It's going to rain, and wham. And then, guts this guy like Spencer. And then Maggie's watching all this and he goes, oh, for me, it was more an, oh shit. Like I thought she was still over there. I didn't want her. I'm going to bring this guy out. I don't want to bring him out around her. I know that's going to open up some, you know what I'm saying? That's going to open up, like you said, that wound with her. But I think she felt like he has to be that. People got to see that side of this guy if they're going to get through anything. Because without Negan, you ain't making it, man. When he turns that shit on, you're going to get through. Yeah. Without a doubt. When that Negan comes to play, it's no holds bar. That boy is a bad boy. I love that shirt, by the way, Barb.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Carol's got hers on.
Man, let's go, ladies. I got a little camp.
You noticed my Aaron was wearing your hat too, right?
Commonwealth, let's go.
Did you notice Ross was wearing your hat, right?
Like that. Oh, I see it. I saw it. I thought I saw it.
Yeah. But we'll go back to it.
We're running up on 8:30, so we better start winding it down. But Oscar, thank you, darling.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, ladies, so much for having me. It was a pleasure. This was fun. I'd do it anytime. I come hang out anytime.
We're going to hold you to that.
Anytime. I'm here.
All right. Thank you. And we're going to let you leave the studio as we...
Bye, guys. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Oscar.
We'll see you soon.
Bye. All right.
That was awesome having him.
That was great.
Well, thanks guys for hanging out for so long. We appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Here's how you can find Oscar. Those are his Facebook page. The top one is his Oscar's Red Hat Designs. And of course, you can find him at the Facebook camp event. And we'd like to thank our Patreons and financial supporters, of course. We got Destiny, Terry and Kay, Sandy, Lauren, Ben and Melissa, Pamela Blythe, and Dustin Baker. And of course, our very special thank you to our camp mommy and poppy. Get a room.
And we love you guys. Sorry about the technical difficulties. We will make sure that we're on the camps page next week. But thank you for hopping on with us. And
Yep.
we'll see you soon.
And keep watching us on Facebook and keep interacting. We love it.
That's right.
Bye, guys.
Bye.